And I guess this is of a piece with Vladimir Putin's address to a packed stadium in Moscow, where he's been celebrating Russia's military action, which he doesn't call military action, just a special operation. What is your response to this fake news really emanating from Russia, Mr. Yaценюk?
You know, what's happening right now in Moscow, it's outrageous and unacceptable, and that's just, inhuman. And it completely reminds me of Nazi-style summits or Nazi-style celebrations, when this modern Hitler, who is President Putin, decided to celebrate what? Atrocities, crimes against humanity, killing innocent Ukrainians, and this crowd cheered up this modern Hitler. That's just disgusting. Going back to this so-called ambassador, Russian ambassador, he knows everything. He's well aware of everything. And he knows that the time will come when they will be brought to justice. His president, his DOD, his foreign minister, and everyone who ordered an invasion against an independent and free country, Ukraine.
I mean, you refer to Putin as a modern Hitler. The West has been absolutely steadfast that it doesn't want to get drawn into the war. Devastating as it obviously is to see what's happening to your country and your people. Isn't it right that NATO has to do everything it can to prevent the war escalating beyond Ukraine's borders?
Well, here is the thing. This is the chance for me to say thank you. You personally, your journalist, your government, and personally Prime Minister Johnson. That's where Putin miscalculated. He didn't expect this kind of unity in the Western world. This kind of unity when the Western world decided to support Ukraine, to stand by Ukraine, to impose severe sanctions against the Russian Federation. So my take is that you have done a lot to support Ukraine. But you have the chance, and not only the chance, but obligation to do more, to defend this innocent, free and independent country.
Okay, so when you talk about an obligation to do more there, are you talking beyond the weapons that are being sent to Ukraine from many countries, including the UK?
So this is a kind of set of tools that have to be implemented. We need to increase and to ramp up sanctions. The key problem right now is that Putin's regime have plenty of revenues getting from oil and gas sales. So the UK, US, and Canada already imposed embargo on the Russian energy sector. This is the time for the European Union to decide whether they support Putin sending dollars, euros, or another hard currency to Russia, or this is the high time for the European Union to get rid of this dependence on the Russian oil and gas, to improve its own energy sector, and actually to cut off any additional financial support that Putin channels to finance his aggressive military and finance his aggression against Ukraine.
So you're pretty. I mean, we're speaking to the EU Commissioner later, and I'll ask her about that. But are you disappointed that Germany, well, and other European countries have not set a date to end dependence on Russian oil?
I was pissed off when our German partners decided to build up this so-called Nord Stream 2. And I was at loggerheads with then Chancellor Merkel only on one particular issue, on Nord Stream 2. Because on all of the rest, we were on the same page. But the Chancellor, she believed that this is the economic project. And I said, Madam Chancellor, look, it has nothing to do with the economy. This is geopolitics. And Russian energy is not the energy. This is the tool of his army. This is another armament that Putin wants to use in order to fight with the free world.
Clearly, this operation is not going according to Putin's plans. Do you fear that he might then order a chemical attack, maybe even a tactical short-range nuclear weapons attack?
Well, Putin is either unhinged or completely crazy. Whether he can order a chemical attack, yes, he can. And he can make it as a full-flag operation. And they already started to prepare the ground for this kind of another atrocity. Um, so you remember this notorious red line message of the then President Obama. This time, this has to be a very clear-cut red line message for Putin.
Well, that I was going to ask you about, the fact that it was a red line in Syria, chemical weapons were used, and the EU, the US did relatively, well, nothing really. So what would you expect from NATO, from the EU, if a chemical attack is launched this time?
The world has changed dramatically. This is not the world that was a decade or even 22 days ago. This is a completely different geopolitical situation. And I believe that NATO and the free world have a huge arsenal how to stop Putin. The big thing is that we need to realize, don't fear Putin. The main fear is fear itself. He underestimated Ukrainian military. He underestimated Ukrainian people. He underestimated Ukrainian nation. He underestimated the West. He underestimated everything.
But with respect, people do fear Putin because he has his hands on the biggest nuclear arsenal in the world. So if what you say is true, he does a chemical attack and NATO responds, we fear that we've got nuclear weapons heading our way potentially.
Kathy, let me put it this way. Who is stronger? NATO, the free world, or Putin? Just let's elaborate on this. Just tell me, please, who is stronger? Who is on the right side?
But when someone starts chucking a nuclear weapon about, that talk of relative strength becomes an irrelevance, doesn't it?
No. Because in any case, he is not an idiot. He fully understands that the real strength in the hands of NATO and in the hands of free world. So I strongly believe that we can deter Putin, that we can stop Putin. And we have a lot of ammunition and armament in order to achieve this goal.
Let me ask you, Russia has said in rather chilling terms that it's tightening the noose on Mariupol. And, the world has been in awe of the resilience and the determination of the Ukrainian people. But are conditions now so bad in parts of Ukraine that people would understand if the Ukrainians felt unable to continue resisting in places like Mariupol?
Situation is very complicated and situation is dire in a number of locations in Ukraine. Mainly, for example, Mariupol, Kharkiv, the east of Ukraine. They tried to encircle Kyiv, but they failed. Once again, they failed. The initial plan of Putin was actually to win this bloody war against Ukraine in 96 hours. As for now, we have 22 days. So, once again, I want to deliver you the message. We are strong enough to win this righteous fight. And in terms, for example, of your role of the United Kingdom, it reminds me 1941. Then President of the United States, FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and Churchill, they signed an Atlantic Charter. You remember, and it was just 1941, 4 years before the Second World War was won by the Western coalition and those who were against Nazis. So we need right now, not just to send the signal, but to sign a new transatlantic charter. Which kind of world we are seeing after Ukraine, together with the Western world, will win this war?
But, when you talk about winning, for the people of Mariupol, such talk seems so remote because life is so desperate. I mean, I saw the picture of 109 empty pushchairs placed in the main square in Lviv in memory of the 109 Ukrainian children who've been killed since the beginning of the Russian invasion. I just wonder what toll emotionally all of this is taking on you and your fellow countrymen and women.
Kathy, emotionally, it's a real disaster. Okay, because all these human sufferings, innocent people, kids that have been killed by Russians, that's just unbelievable that it is happening right now in the 21st century, in the center of Europe. That's unbelievable. And I pray for my fellow Ukrainians, and I pray for and I mourn for every human being that lost its life, and I pray for the families that lost their loved ones. So this is a real human suffering, but we have to stop this.